Okay, guys, so if you see this logo, stay away from these people. They claim to be Christians. They claim to want to teach and everything like that, but just stay away from them, and I will show you why. Okay, so I'm scrolling on TikTok. I see this. I basically just have a conversation with them in the comment sections, and I'm just basically like, oh, cool, you celebrate Hanukkah. They're like, oh, yeah, we celebrate Hanukkah. Then this guy Steve over here says, yeah, we celebrate it, but it's not one of the major holidays. It's not in the Tanakh.
Because it's not based on an event in the Tanakh.
We basically kind of dialogue back and forth a little bit, and I tell him it's prophesied in the book of Daniel. In the book of Daniel, it talks about the events leading up to it.
Hanukkah is prophesied in Daniel. Interesting. I've never heard that before.
I hadn't heard it either. If you could give me the verses, I would like to have it.
And I literally say Jewish and Christian historians all agree on this. But let's check it out. Okay, first we're going to be looking at the King James Study Bible. Okay? Literally, Daniel chapter 8. Where is it? The little horn came one from the little horns. Most agree that this little horn can only refer to Antiochus IV of Epiphanes that literally started the whole Maccabean rebellion. This is the NIV Study Bible. The other horn emerges. Go ahead, read. Started small as Antiochus IV of Epiphanes. Literally over here, the beautiful lamb, blah, blah, blah. Judas Maccabees recaptured the origin of the festival of Hanukkah. Also see John 10:22. This is my wife's Bible. She was nice enough to let me use it. It's the Holman Christian Standard Bible. Going to Matthew chapter 8 over here. Little horn to be Antiochus of Epiphanes. Literally. Now, those are all Bibles from Christianity of different versions. You could even look up other versions. I just don't have all of them at my house because I don't collect Bibles. Now, this is obviously a Jewish text of Daniel, Ezra, and Nehemiah, and we're going to see what it says. And here from the Little Horn commentary, talks about Antiochus III, but then also succeeding him was Antiochus IV, right there. Here's a commentary on the book of Daniel. Let's just look it up to see what it says. Oh, the little one, here it is. And Antiochus Epiphanes, a.k.a. Antiochus IV. He is also brought up in 810. Here's another one, super popular, R. Kent Hughes. He probably is one of the biggest pastor teachers out there, so let's see what he has to say. Again, look at that. Antiochus Epiphanes is being brought up again from R. Kent Hughes. So, I don't know, it is kind of annoying that these Bible teachers don't even know this. Like, this is not something hidden. This is not mystical. This isn't an opinionated. This is not a type of theology. This is just literally history that historians have lined up and came to the conclusion of this. This is not a Jewish thing. This is not a Christian thing. This is just, if you believe in the Bible, this is what it's talking about because it's history. And do they see it this way? Spoiler alert, they don't.
So Gabriel kind of says this is actually a vision about the end of it. Yep. Which is not Hanukkah.
Now, going back in here into R. Kent Hughes, we're looking at the time of the end. So go ahead, guys. You can just pause and read that. This part right here. Go ahead, pause and read. Going over to the next page. And we're going to be looking at this. And literally the first sentence. Now, when some people read the words, time of the end, they assume immediately that Daniel has to be speaking about the last days or the second coming of Jesus Christ. Kind of like that Stephen guy does. And that one dude like below him, May or whatever. TWC. He even gives the example of Peter quoting Joel 2:28, talking about in the last days that the Holy Spirit would be poured out. But we know it was poured out in Acts chapter 2, which was not literally the end of time. So we know it's not being literal when it says that. So Steve, May, whoever else, part of the TWC, that's all wrong and faulty thinking.
That's too easy to explain it away. There's absolutely nothing in there that describes Hanukkah. Antiochus is the little horn. You're stretching really, really deep.
I mean, it's not my claim that it's Antiochus for being the small horn. It's literally all these scholars and everyone who put together the King James Version, NIV, and the Holman Christian Standard Bible, all the scholars behind these, they're just all magically wrong. But sure, yeah, some group of people on TikTok know way more than all these scholars, both Christian and Jews. Okay. And this is what I was talking about in the very beginning. Like, we need to test everything, people. Test everything.
Well, we're saying that the passage, the explanation that Gabriel gives, doesn't agree with those commentators.
Literally, 8 verse 20. The two rammed horn that you saw symbolizes the king of Mede and Persia. The he-goat, the kingdom of Greece, and the large horn that is between his eyes is its first king. First king is talking about Alexander the Great. As for the broken one, whose place 4 arose, the 4 generals, 4 kingdoms will arise from the nations, but lacking in strength at the end of their kingdom when sinners are annihilated. A brazen-faced king and understander of the mysteries will arise, which is talking about Antiochus IV, after all I mean, it's clear as day, people. It's clear as day. There's a one horn being Alexander the Great. When he dies, goes to his 4 generals. One of them was named Antiochus. And then down the line, we get Antiochus the Fourth. Like, literally, the whole time we're trying to have this dialogue, they're just being so disingenuous, and it's just so annoying that, I don't know.
I mean, plenty of the rabbinical commentaries say that God is referring to the angels when he says, "Let us make man in our image." But we're not made in the image of angels. In fact, that's a part to show of the Trinity.
So right here, Steve is now switching the conversation and being disingenuous because clearly I say this. I literally say Jewish and Christian commentators, okay? He then flips it and says, oh, well, the rabbinic commentators. He's being disingenuous. And did you notice he literally stops the conversation about Hanukkah and he brings up the Trinity, the one thing that Christians always do. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So then I go up on the live and I'm just asking him, like, we're talking about a historical account in Daniel. We're not talking about theology. Yet now we're moving the goalpost. Now we're talking about theology. And since they're wrong about the Trinity, and then they're going to be wrong about the history.
Like, please don't be disingenuous with me. I talked about Christian commentators and Jewish commentators, okay? I'm not talking about rabbinic commentators. And I didn't even bring up, hold on. I didn't even bring up the Trinity. Okay, like, let's not shift the goalpost here.
And then, like, this randomly happens.
I brought up the Trinity, but Cat brought it up.
Like, Kyle here is just literally blatantly lying about that because he didn't. So, long story short, they're just disagreeing with me. So I just straight up asked them, what's your interpretation of Daniel 8? And this is what he tells me.
What is your interpretation of Daniel 8?
So this is Daniel is, how I explain it, Daniel is the first book of Revelation, the latter part of Daniel. Revelation coincides with Daniel. You got to understand Daniel before you understand Revelation.
I've been talking about Revelation.
That is my personal opinion. That's not TWC. I cannot speak for the TWC on that.
So that's your interpretation for chapter 8. You just have to understand Daniel before Revelation.
Yes.
So then I just leave because you just can't have a conversation with just these people. But then this is what they say.
If they would have just gone to Daniel 11, they would have found the name of the generals that took over for Alexander. He was so desperate for it.
They're not even mentioned. Daniel 11
There was 4 generals.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
the King of the South.
So it mentions those 4 generals?
No.
By name.
Oh, really?
But only I don't want to kill the names because I'm not Greek. Leonidas, Berenice, Antiochus, Seleucus.
This was 100 and some years before that happened, and these guys were mentioned by name?
Yep. There was actually a legend in the Midrash that Alexander came there and he read it out of Daniel and said, I suppose this is me.
That is interesting. See, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Guys, literally, Daniel 11 is about the kings of the north and kings of the south, okay? Nowhere does it mention anywhere through Daniel chapter 11 about the specific names of the king of the generals from Alexander the Great. Literally, it's, where is it? The king of the south, the king of the south and the king of the north, the king coming down, king of the north, look, king of the south. This whole thing is this back and forth between the north and south, north, south, north, south. It does not, nowhere, and I will give $1 million to anyone who could find me those names, which that guy claimed was in Daniel chapter 11, because it's not. And I think the most frustrating part of this is I'm showing 6 books by Jewish and Christian commentators talking about the history. It's, again, guys, it's not a theological discussion. It is a history discussion. And I'm showing where in history these events line up, where Daniel chapter 8 is talking about Hanukkah. They dismiss me. And then they laugh at me. But when this guy says, oh yeah, mentions them by name. You heard it, by name. Oh, wow, really? Oh, cool. I'm just going to believe it. Why? Because you're my friend. Why don't we believe Milwaukee? Well, because Milwaukee doesn't believe in the Trinity. So we're going to dismiss them because we don't like Milwaukee. But we like you, friends, so we're going to agree with you. So this is how the TWC operates, which is fine. Just want everyone else to be weary of them. They only get theological comments or agree theologically with their friends, and they ignore everyone else. So with that being said, there's my evidence. Do what you will with it, but just be careful who you listen to on TikTok.